It's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is determine. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or meanings for this verb. One way we use the verb determine is to mean to cause something to occur in a certain way. Let me give you an example of this. If I say the weather tomorrow will determine whether I mow the grass, what I mean is if it's sunny and nice out, I'm going to mow the grass. But if it's rainy or there's other bad weather, then I'm not going to make that choice. So here, the weather is causing me to act in a particular way. Another way we use the verb determine is to mean to settle or decide from two or more choices or two or more possibilities. A third way we use the verb determine is to mean to find something out through investigation, reasoning, or calculation. So you might recognize the word determine from mathematics. Sometimes as you are working problems, you might be asked to determine the area of a rectangle, as an example. Determine is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, we're going to drop the E and then add ing to form determining. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by adding D, because this verb already ends in an E. The verb determine ends with an N sound, which is a voiced consonant. So this means the past tense ending is just going to make a D sound. Determined, determined. You might be relieved to know that determine does not have any phrasal verbs associated with it. So there are no additional meanings for this verb. That means we can focus on practicing using this verb determine in different verb tenses. Today, we'll practice the past perfect, simple present, and simple future. Let's take a look. First, the past perfect. To make this verb tense, we're going to use a past form of have, which is had, and then the participle form of the verb, in this case, determined. Here's an example sentence. The company had determined that it needed to eliminate 100 jobs. If I want to make a negative past perfect sentence, I'm going to insert not after had. You might hear native speakers use the contraction hadn't. Here's an example sentence. As of yesterday, the district hadn't determined if in-person classes will start in August. If I want to make a yes or no question in the past perfect, I'm going to start with had, then I'll have my subject, and then the participle form of the verb. Here's an example. Had they determined the cause of the fire? Next, let's take a look at simple present. Here, we're discussing habits and routines. And what you need to remember about the affirmative simple present is that if our subject is one woman, she, one man, he, one thing, it, then our verb is going to end with an S. Otherwise, if our subject is I, you, we, or they, it's just the base verb. Here's an example affirmative sentence. The teacher determines the group assignments. So here, again, the teacher is making the choices. Which people will work together? If there had been more than one teacher, I would have said, the teachers determine the group assignment. If I want to make a sentence negative in the simple present, I'm going to use do not, and the base verb when my subject is I, you, we, or they. Or I'll use does not and the base verb when my subject is he, she, or it. Here's an example sentence. School grades do not determine people's future success. So this sentence is going to go back to that first meaning of determine that we looked at, causing something. So school grades are not ultimately what will determine if someone is successful as an adult. If I want to make a yes or no question in the simple present, I'm going to start with do or does. Then I'll have my subject and then the base verb. Here's an example. Does the new test determine the level of antibodies? This is a question I saw in a news article talking about COVID-19 testing. Next, let's take a look at simple future. Today, we're going to practice using the be going to form of the simple future. So for this formation, we're going to use a present form of be. That could be am, is, or are, depending on the subject. And after that, we'll have going to and then the base verb. Let's look at an affirmative example. The virus is going to determine when students can go back to school. If I want to make my simple future sentence negative, I'm going to insert not after my be verb. Here's an example sentence. New COVID-19 cases alone aren't going to determine when employees can return to the office. If I want to ask a yes or no question about a future action, I'm going to start with my form of be, then I'll have my subject, then going to and the base verb. Here's an example. Is that game going to determine the champion? Again, the verb here, determine, is being used like decide. Next, let's take a look at some words that are related to our verb determine. The first is the noun form of this verb, determination. And just like the verb, it can have a couple different meanings. One meaning is firmness of purpose or resoluteness. Another adjective to describe this might be resolved. So let's look at an example sentence and I'll describe a bit more what this means. Dreams become real through determination and hard work. So what this sentence means is if someone has a goal, right, that goal will become real, right, if they are determined, if they do not give up and they work hard. Another way the noun determination is used is to mean the process of establishing something through a decision, calculation, or research. Here's an example of that. They are waiting for the judge's determination. So here, determination would sort of be similar to decision. Another related word is the adjective determined. So this might look like the past tense form of the verb, and you're right, the exact same spelling, exact same pronunciation. And as an adjective, determined means that someone has made a firm decision and that person is committed to not change the decision. Here's an example. He was determined to complete the project before going to bed. So he made this decision. I'm going to finish this thing before I go to sleep. And I'm not going to change my mind, give up, and work on it tomorrow. I'm going to finish it today. Another related adjective is undetermined. And you might recognize that prefix UN, it means not. So here it might mean not decided, so not having made a decision, or not known. Here is an example sentence. There were an undetermined number of passengers on the plane. So here, this would connect, I think, most closely to not known. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.